Hi everyone, Derek back again. I'm here to do a video. This is going to actually be my first video for Sons of Anarchy's upcoming final season. I am also a Sons of Anarchy fan. I've watched the show ever since the first season, and I've definitely enjoyed it. I think it's one of the best scripted shows that has been written, that has been produced on television. Kurt Sutter is an absolute genius. The cast he put together was genius, and I have really enjoyed the show. And as much as we hate seeing a great show like that come to an end, I can respect and understand that it is time to say goodbye to these characters and the Sons of Anarchy because just after a while, you realize that you're going to be, going around in circles too much. You're not going to have as much, unique material. And I also think that it's going to be hard for them to go much longer without some of their main cast members that they've killed off ever since, some of the early seasons. So I think it is about time. And what I wanted to do tonight was just give a couple thoughts on Comic Con, the interviews that were done on there. I did get the chance to watch it tonight, and I have a couple of different comments to make about it and some of the things that I'm looking forward to for the last season. So, if you're not caught up with Sons of Anarchy all the way, I suggest that you not watch this video as it may contain spoilers, and I don't want to spoil anybody who may be catching up on the show or who may be, getting into it right before the last season. So, there may be spoilers. So if you don't want to get any information, please exit the video now. Okay. So again, I watched the Comic Con podcast tonight. Basically, when the group was at Comic Con giving their thoughts on the last season. It was kind of sad that Charlie Hunnam could not be there for it. I understand that, these actors have a lot going on and, he was not able to make it. It's too bad, but, we really did get a lot of good information, from the cast members, and one of the things they actually did that I found very interesting was they actually had released polls to the fans trying to decide which characters were actually going to die by the end of the series. And I was actually really surprised that some of them, they did things like they said that Juice was going to die, like it was like over 85% that said that Juice was going to die. They predicted that Tig and Chibs were going to die, and I also believe that they said that Ratboy and Unser were going to die, but that people were actually really split on whether Jax is going to die. And I don't know, I know that there are going to be some deaths in Sons of Anarchy's final season. I'm going to do a separate video on that, doing my analysis on that, but I don't know if it's going to be that many. A lot of the things that I'm really looking forward to, and they did make a comment about this, was that Jax is basically going to be going all out, to try to get revenge on the people that killed Tara, which we of course know was Gemma who killed Tara in the final episode of the 6th season. And then of course you also have Juice who helped cover it up and shot Roosevelt, the sheriff, when he came to the scene and actually saw what happened, in order to help cover Gemma's rear, because she did do this. And Kurt Sutter basically stated that Jax was basically going to be like a straight up killer bent on revenge in these first. Because I think they had filmed about 6 or 7 episodes so far. They're still filming right now, as far as I know, the ending. And the ending has not actually been decided yet. And that's something about Kurt Sutter that I think is always a good thing. There's nothing wrong with writing as you go. And I know that he's talked about times where he thought he was going to do something, he changed his mind. And I think that so far, every decision that he has made has been great and has contributed very well to the storyline. He talked about that he had even thought about killing Opie off in the 3rd season. And thankfully, he did push that off a little bit, and I think he did time that out very nicely. I did not like seeing Opie go, but just for storyline purposes, I think that he made the right call at the right time for that. And I just think that, it's nice going in with him not knowing what the ending is, because I think that as you go along, Kurt Sutter focuses a lot on the little minor details, and I think that is something that is going to definitely play into this last season, where we're going to see exactly, what brings them to the end game. Because we know that there is going to be bloodshed. The question is just how much and who. And I think that one of the things that they're really gonna focus on in this last season is just Jax becoming unhinged. Kurt Sutter described it as writing a new character. It's like a new Jax. Like, we're not gonna see the wise Jax. Somebody who is thinking before he acts. Somebody who's looking at the big picture. Or even like the friendly side of him, the nice side of him, the loving side of him. I think that's gone. The second that Tara was killed off, I think we knew that there was definitely going to be a new Jax, no matter what. And I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. And I could see this revenge potentially bringing the club down. That this may be what ends the Sons of Anarchy. Whether it's because a bunch of them die, whether it's because some die and some go to prison, or whether it's just that they disband because the Brotherhood's no longer there. I don't know, and I think that it's definitely going to be interesting seeing how Jax proceeds. And I think that one of the things we're going to see is that the club is going to be behind him. Now the question is, are they going to agree with him, or are they going to see past their decisions, or are they going to be so focused on revenge that they're not even going to be focusing on the long-term consequences? Because, right now, there is a little bit of tension between the Niners and the Mayans and the Chinese. We're going to have I think we're going to have some storylines behind that, and I definitely think that they're going to have that front to deal with this final season, and I also think that they're going to have, Jax being unhinged this season. I think it's going to be a very good season. I have no doubt that Kurt Sutter's going to bring a great story before us. Is going to give the ending justification that it deserves. And I did like Kurt Sutter's ending to The Shield. Whenever they wrote that ending for the show, I think that it definitely was a great ending. And it was something that was unexpected. And I think that we're definitely going to have some kind of an unexpected ending, because you think about it, Jax may die. A lot of us may have felt that Vic Mackey was going to die in the last episode, or that he was going to go to prison, and instead he ends up getting immunity, but he loses his family because his family goes into the witness protection program, and he loses his job, so he can't, be a cop, out on the front lines anymore. And he also, gets stuck behind a desk job at the ICE, I believe. And, it just basically stripped everything away from him. And, I could see that potentially being an ending for Jax. That instead of giving him a storyline where he dies, he might live, but he might lose everything that was ever important to him. He might get, ousted from the club because of his revenge. I could see that potentially happening, where he makes a decision, it goes too far, and it results from his expulsion in the club. So he may lose the club, he may lose his brotherhood with his brothers. Jax is close with people like Bobby and Chibs and Tig and a lot of other people in the club, and he may potentially end up severing those relationships. It's very possible. And of course, he's lost his family. He's lost Tara, which was definitely a big part of him. And I just don't know if he's ever going to recover from that, And who knows? He may lose his sons. I don't think that Abel and Thomas are going to die, but I think that it could be possible that Wendy may take the boys and take them away from him. Or Gemma might. There's a lot of different things that could happen. But you could see that potentially happening with Jax, where he lives, but he loses everything that ever mattered to him. Whether Kurt Sutter would do a repeat like that, I don't think it would be exactly like that. But there are a lot of different possibilities, and there's a lot of different things that we can look forward to in this season. Because I think that one of the things that we're going to find is that because it's the final season, it's going to be nothing is going to be held back. If they want to kill someone off, they can do it just like that. The storyline, I think that each episode is going to be just as shocking. You're going to want more, I think. So many episodes of Sons of Anarchy, I've wanted more. That is something that the show definitely does a great job with. They leave you wanting more. And that's why I think shows like Sons of Anarchy and Walking Dead do so great. You watch one episode and you're like, whoa, like I gotta come back and see what happens next. You're so hooked. And I think that, the creative writing, the great cliffhangers, they do a good job with that. And I'm excited about the way that they're going to do that for this next season. I'm also hoping maybe that they do some extended episodes. I mean, they had a lot of extended episodes that were 90 minutes long or more in the sixth season, throughout the season. And it was amazing. And I hope that they allow Kurt Sutter to do some extra filming, because I think there's so much that they have to deal with. And it's going to be hard to do that in 13 episodes. So I guess we'll see what happens. I'm very interested to see how that ends up. And just, leaving that void for us fans of Sons of Anarchy. I find that Sons of Anarchy is a show that only a unique type of person can watch that show. If you're not one for brutality, it's not going to be a show for you. If you're not one, there is a lot of dirty language that goes on, and there are a lot of very controversial scenes, and if you're not somebody that can handle that, you're not going to be able to watch the show. I'm able to watch it because I think it has very creative storylines. It does a good job of mixing drama, action, shocking twists, and even some humor. I mean, we've had a lot of funny moments over this series. I mean, you have the Venus Van Dam, character that's played by Walton Goggins. It's just absolutely hilarious every time she pops up on the show. You have Unser providing his great humor. You have these guys that basically come together and do the funniest things. I mean, the time they put Juice in a diaper, the time that, the dog bit Tig on the rear end, they just do a lot of great things that have a good balance between the serious, gritty, bloody storylines that they create, and they're able to balance that out with a lot of humor as well. And I really like that. The show has a good balance. So I'm very interested to see what they do, and it's going to be sad to see the show go. And it's hard to see this brotherhood break up. They talked a lot about how all of them were a brotherhood, and I could see that. I think that these actors have come together in a very unique way, and they share a very strong bond with each other that goes past just filming. And it's nice to see that, among a cast. And you can see that when you see them traveling around all over the place. You see it when they're at Comic-Con. I mean, they really do appreciate and respect each other almost as brothers. And it's going to be really hard to see that go. So I'm very interested to see what they have. And next week I can start doing more Sons of Anarchy videos, as I will be getting my DVDs. They will be available to me when I move back to my other home. I'll be able to write some reviews, basically, do some videos on that, do some predictions, do a couple look backs, do some top 10 videos with that. And I'm really anxious to do that. It's definitely been a great show. It deserves to have some coverage, and I really hope to be able to provide that for some fans out there. So again, if you want to subscribe, please do so. Please suggest any questions, comments, any video topics you may have. I'd be willing to do them. I do consider myself a Sons of Anarchy expert and fan, and I would definitely love to share as much information as I have that you'd like to hear. So thank you very much, everyone, and I really hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.